All right, all brothers remove their head coverings, all sisters pray with their heads covered. We face the east towards Jerusalem. Elder Mikael, can you go ahead and open us up with prayer, please?
Our Father, most holy and true covenant, Elohim, Re'eh, Yeshua, Yaakov. Give you thanks and all praise and all glory unto you, Father, that you is holy and mighty name, Father Yahweh. Father, that you've chosen us, Father, to worship you, Father Yahweh. And we give you thanks and praise for this, Father Yahweh. It's an honor, Father Yahweh, to learn your will, Father Yahweh. I pray help us all, Father Yahweh, who wish to serve you, Father Yahweh. Teach us how, Father Yahweh. And be patient with us, Father. We ask, we beg, have mercy upon us, Father, in Yeshua's mighty name, Father Yahweh. Because, Father, we are just learning these things. We didn't grow up, Father Yahweh, learning your will, Father, and learning your ways, Father Yahweh. So we ask for your holy, mighty patience upon all of us, Father Yahweh. And allow us, Father, to walk these stately steps, Father Yahweh, to come unto you, Father. Father, thank you for allowing these brothers and sisters, Father, to worship you, Father, and I ask, Father Yahweh, let your word, Father, go out through the four corners of the world, Father Yahweh, to nourish people, Father, who wish to abide in your laws, Father Yahweh. I give you thanks and praise. We give you thanks and praise in Yeshua's holy mighty name, Father Yahweh. And allow our hearts to stay soft and malleable, Father, to receive your word, Father Yahweh, to understand your word, Father Yahweh, to receive your word, Father Yahweh, be able to do your word, Father Yahweh, to give you your glory that you just deserve, Father Yahweh. Give you thanks and praise in Yeshua's holy and mighty name. Amen.
Amen. All right, Shabbat Shalom. My name is Yadon Yasharah, my brother Yanta Yasharah. Shabbat Shalom. And the title of today's Shabbat study is The Haters of Yah. The Haters of Yah. And we use certain slang words and term words like haters and you a hater and this, that, and the other. And it was interesting to find out that that exact term is used in the word, the haters of Yah. And everybody claims that they love the Most High. I love Yah, I love God. I love the Most High. But what do our actions show? Just like when people tell you that, many of us who've lived long enough will live long enough for people to tell you, oh, I love you. I love you. But then their actions show the exact opposite, that they do not have love for you. So we want to make sure that when we deal with the Most High, that our actions are showing that we have love for the Most High. And when you have love for the Most High, there's certain things that you are going to do in your life. There's certain people that you're going to show love to, because the Most High is not just a singular being. He's an Elohim. He's a plurality of spirits. So you have to love all that makes up Yah. So we're going to open up in Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we're going to take a look at how the Most High deals, first of all, with his haters. Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we're going to start this at verse 1. And again, the title of today's Shabbat study is The Haters of Yah. Hold on a second. We're opening up in Devarim, Deuteronomy chapter 7, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
When Yahweh your Elohim shall bring you into the land where you go to possess it, and has cast out many nations before you, the Hittites and the Girgashites and the Amorites and the Canaanites and the Perizzites and the Hivites and the Jebusites, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. And when Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shall you make marriages with them. Your daughter you shall not give unto his son, nor his daughter shall you take unto your son.
All right, so it says, and when Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them before you, you shall smite them and utterly destroy them. You shall make no covenant with them, nor show mercy to them. So if you're supposed to destroy a whole people, you can't make a covenant with the person that you're supposed to destroy. Go ahead. And that's why it explains about not making marriages with them. This is talking about the 7 Canaanite nations. This is not talking about all Gentiles, all Goyim, that you're supposed to just hate everybody that's not of your nation. But it's talking about these specific 7 nations that were dwelling in the land of Shem, that were dwelling in the land of Yasharal, which they called Canaan, which belonged to Shem. They had no business there to begin with. Go ahead.
For they will turn away your son from following me, that they may serve other gods. So will the anger of Yahweh be kindled against you and destroy you suddenly.
Now, you say, well, how will they turn you away from following Yah? Well, we've studied this in other classes. We've shown that there was spirits, angels that were put over these other nations to lead them away from the Most High. So if they have spirits that are leading them away from the Most High, which means spirits that are operating in the hate of the Most High, and you yoke yourself to something like that, you're going to be constantly dealing with a spirit that is leading you away from the Most High. You can't yoke yourself and become one with somebody or something that is moving away from the Most High. Go ahead, Elder.
Another spirit you can think about is that you look at Shlomo. Shlomo was supposed to be the wisest man, in that time. And he became very rich, because he didn't ask for riches from Yahweh, and all this. He just wanted to know how to govern the people of Yahweh. Mm-hmm. So Yahweh blessed him continuously. And he had this wisdom, but yet how did he use this wisdom later on when he had all these different wives from different nations?
Right.
He wasn't supposed to do that, but yet he had, 300 wives and 700 concubines. So, and all these wives majority of all these wives did not follow Yahweh. So he wound up building temples to their gods around Yahweh's temple. Mm-hmm. So that was not wise. But yet, this is what Yahweh's saying right here, that these foreign women will pull you away from Yahweh. And that's why he says marriage is a mystery.
You know, you marry your wife to leave your parents, and you marry your wife, you cleave to your wife, but yet these things are soul ties. So he wanted to please his wives, and yet after a while he realized he did not please Yahweh. He's trying to please his wife. So you're putting her on a pedestal. That's idolatry, idol worship. So this is what Yahweh is trying to tell you. He's warning us, don't do these things, because most of these nations he's going to destroy. And he says, if you allow yourself to get yoked into these nations, you're going to pull away from me, and then he's going to deal with you.
Right.
So that's just something that, you know, we have to think about.
Right. You know, you says that you can't have two masters. You can't, you're going to love one and hate the other. So if you decide to allow the world to be your master, where you're going to disobey the Most High and do what the world does, then you're going to end up hating the Most High and loving the world, because you want the things of the world. The people of the other nations belong to the world. The people of the other nations that cleave onto Yahweh belong to Yahweh. Go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse 5. But thus shall you deal with them. You shall destroy their altars and break down their images and cut down their groves and burn their graven images with fire. For you are a holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim. Yahweh your Elohim has chosen you to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. Yahweh did not set his love upon you nor choose you because you were more in number than any people, for you were the fewest of all people.
So he's telling us how to deal with these people that hate the Most High. You're supposed to destroy their altars, break down their images, cut down their groves, and burn their graven images with fire, because we are a holy people unto Yahweh your Elohim, who he has chosen for himself, for us to be a special people. So when you marry a woman that does not serve the Most High, this is what you have to do. You have to go in her life and you got to tear down these idols and destroy these images and these groves and all these things that are abomination to the Most High. And if she's not with that, if she's not of the same spirit with you, there's going to be a problem. That's going to destroy that marriage. So the Most High is telling his people right here from the get-go, this is going to be a problem. This is how this woman was raised and her family, and you're going to go in there and tear down their stuff. And then even if you want to do that, being that you love this person, you yoking yourself to this person, you're going to kind of half-heartedly want to do it because, you know, I don't want to cause pain to somebody that I love. So this is why he's telling you these 7 nations right here, these specific nations, destroy them, destroy everything. Do not yoke them. Do not make any covenant with them. And a covenant is not just marriage, you know, business partnerships, you know, friendships, all these type of things. Don't do that. Go ahead.
Verse 8. But because Yahweh loved you, and because he would keep the oath which he had sworn unto your fathers, has Yahweh brought you out with a mighty hand, and redeemed you out of the house of bondmen from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Mitzrayim. Know therefore that Yahweh your Elohim, he is Elohim, the faithful El, which keeps covenant and mercy with them that love him, and keep his commandments to 1,000 generations, and repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him. He will repay him to his face. You shall therefore keep the commandments and the statutes and the judgments which I command you this day to do them.
So he repays them that hate him to their face, to destroy them. He will not be slack to him that hates him. He will repay him to his face. And that goes along with judgment belonging unto Yahweh. Vengeance belonging unto Yahweh. So when people come against the children of Yasharah, you cannot hate the apple of his eye, which is Israel, and think that you love the Most High. That doesn't work that way. So we don't have to go out there and repay all these nations. First of all, we can't just pick one group of people and say we're just going to repay these white people. Because it's all nations around the world has oppressed the children of Yasharah. Not just these white people here in America. We're getting oppressed all over the world. Go ahead.
Verse 12. Wherefore it shall come to pass, if you hearken to these judgments and keep and do them, that Yahweh your Elohim shall keep unto you the covenant and the mercy which he swore unto your fathers. And he will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your corn and your wine and your oil, the increase of your kind and the flocks of your sheep, in the land which he swore unto your fathers to give you.
So if you love the Most High, he's going to love you and bless you. But if you hate the Most High, he's going to repay you to your face, and he's not going to slack on that. He's going to deal with it. Go ahead.
Verse 14.
And again, the title of today's Shabbat study is The Haters of Yah.
You shall be blessed above all people. There shall not be male or female barren among you or among your cattle. And Yahweh will take away from you all sickness, and will put none of the evil diseases of Mizraim which you know upon you, but will lay them upon all them that hate you. And you shall consume all the people which Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver you. Your eyes shall have no pity upon them, neither shall you serve their gods, for that will be a snare unto you.
All right, so it says right there, if you keep these commandments that Yah puts before you, then he's going to keep these diseases off you, these sicknesses. He's going to bless your womb, the fruit of your land, your corn. All your increase will be blessed. But if you hate the Most High, then you're going to get the opposite effect. So you look at the condition of our people now, it's clear that we hate the Most High Yah. Now, part of that is because we don't know how to love. But the other part is because we have decided to go after the world and not go after the culture and the nationality that we have. Once we find this out, because there's people that know this, that have come to this understanding, and they're still choosing to hate the Most High. That's completely different from somebody that has no clue who they are, a nationality, or how to go about loving the Most High, other than what they see on TV or hear in these whorehouses on every corner. Go ahead.
Verse 17. If you shall say in your heart, these nations are more than I, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them, but shall well remember what Yahweh your Elohim did unto Pharaoh and unto all Mitzrayim, the great temptations which your eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand, and the outstretched arm, whereby Yahweh your Elohim brought you out, so shall Yahweh your Elohim do unto all the people of whom you are afraid. Moreover, Yahweh your Elohim will send a hornet among them, until they that are left and hide themselves from you be destroyed. You shall not be affrighted at them, for Yahweh your Elohim is among you, a mighty El and terrible. And Yahweh your Elohim will put out those nations before you little by little, that you may not consume them at once, lest the beasts of the field increase upon you. But Yahweh your Elohim shall deliver them unto you, and shall destroy them with a mighty destruction until they be destroyed. And he shall deliver their kings into your hand, and you shall destroy their name from under heaven. There shall be no man able to stand before you until you have destroyed them. The graven images of their gods shall you burn with fire. You shall not desire the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it unto you, lest you be snared therein. For it is an abomination to Yahweh your Elohim. Neither shall you bring an abomination into your house, lest you be a cursed thing like it, but you shall utterly detest it, and you shall utterly abhor it, for it is a cursed thing.
All right. Let's move on. Let's go to Tehillim, Psalms chapter 81. And we're going to talk about these haters of Yah again. That Babylonian garment and that silver he buried under his tent. Mm-hmm.
Psalms, Tehillim, chapter 81, and verse 1. Sing aloud unto Elohim our strength. Make a joyful noise unto the Elohim of Yaakov. Take a psalm and bring here the timbrel, the pleasant harp with psaltery. Blow up the trumpet in the new month, in the time appointed on our solemn feast day. For this was a statute for Yasharal and a law of the Elohim of Yaakov.
All right, so it's talking about blowing up the trumpet in the new month, in the time appointed on our solemn feast days. If you look at that Hebrew word for new moon, it's Chodesh, which is different from Yeriach or Yerak, meaning lunation. So this was a translation of them putting their moon worship in there. We are to keep every month. And the moon's rotation does not equal the same rotation of a complete month. So we have tonight, we are beginning our 6th month, the 6th month of the year. So we have Rosh Hashanah tonight. So immediately after the Shabbat ends, we'll be going into another study for Rosh Hashanah where we will be blowing up this trumpet and having a feast day according to these commandments. Go ahead.
Brother, is H2320, we're talking about the month?
Chodesh, right.
And I think 3198 is
Yerak,
which is
Yeriach, right. And even if you go into the Greek and you look at moon, there's a different word. What is it? Selene. And then you have new month is Naos Mane, giving you new month. They have separate words for all these different things. But then when they take that translation and they translate it into English, they translate in a way to make you believe that we somehow worship in this moon. It doesn't work that way.
Verse 5. This he ordained in Yosef for a testimony when he went out through the land of Mitzrayim, where I heard a language that I understood not. I removed his shoulder from the burden. His hands were delivered from the pots. You called in trouble, and I delivered you. I answered you in the secret place of thunder. I proved you at the waters of Meribah, Selah. Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto you. O Yasharal, if you will hearken unto me. There shall no strange awe be in you, neither shall you worship any strange awe.
All right. There shall be no strange mighty one in you. So these spirits are strange because they are foreign. They're away from Yah. They have removed themselves from Elohim and they have operated on their own. This is a third of angels that have left their state and they have married the daughters of women, the daughters of men, and have created this evil generation that we have. We're not supposed to have that. We are supposed to be one with the Most High. We married into the Most High. So these strange spirits that have all these wicked tendencies to do all these transgressions should not be in us. That's how we commit adultery and fornication spiritually. Go ahead.
Hear, O my people, and I will testify unto you, O Yasharal, if you will hearken unto me. Verse 9. There shall no strange El be in you, neither shall you worship any strange God. I am Yahweh your Elohim, which brought you out of the land of Mitzrayim. Open your mouth wide, and I will fill it. But my people will not hearken to my voice, and Yasharal would have none of me. So I gave them up unto their own heart's lust, and they walked in their own counsels. Oh, that my people had hearkened unto me, and Yasharal had walked in my ways. I should soon have subdued their enemies, and turned my hand against their adversaries. The haters of Yahweh should have submitted themselves unto him, but their time should have endured forever. He should have fed them also with the finest of the wheat, and with honey out of the rock should I have satisfied you.
So who is he talking about here as far as the haters of Yahweh?
Talking about his own.
He's talking about his own people. He's not talking about all these wicked nations. The haters of Yahweh. They don't know Yahweh. They don't know Yahweh like that to even hate him. But they hate his people. That's the closest they know of Yahweh is his people. And they hate his people because his people hate Yahweh. And then they operating the same way as the world. And the world is only going to be cool with you if it's beneficial to them. So these haters of Yahweh, they talking about Yahweh's own people, his own family. They of the foes of his friends, his own foes will be they of his own household, the children of Yasharal. Let's go to Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 12. If we would have submitted to his word, then he could just give us the blessings. But instead we operate with mouth service, lip service, telling y'all, oh, we love you, we this, that, and the other, but then we don't follow anything that he says. Then get upset when we get the consequences of that.
That's basically Yeshua was trying to let his brothers know, that Yehudim know, when they was asking, the idea of, well, if he's the Most High, the Son of the Most High, why don't he subdue the Roman Empire?
Right.
Why should he even do that when you hate Yahweh?
Right.
You're not following his laws and statutes and judgments. You don't even believe that he is him, that he's the Son of the Most High. I mean, even looking in the Torah, said that he's going to send his son down. I mean, that was evident, but yet they didn't believe. So why should Yahweh bless them in that level of manner when they're not prepared to receive his son?
Right.
That they can't accept the gifts of Yahweh. It will be, how you say, disrespected. What makes you think, or what makes us think that we're going to receive all these blessings of Yahweh and we can't follow the simplest things of keep his commandments?
Right.
So this statement right here, it's coming strong, but what you said is not the haters of Yahweh. We are the ones, that didn't do right by Yahweh. So we showing Yahweh we're hating because we're not following what he asked us to do. And he says right there what he could have done for us. But if we don't follow, we don't receive.
Right. You look at white America that's not in diverse areas. You look around and they look at TV and they see an image of the children of Yasharah. Oh, they robbing, they stealing, they killing. They're filthy, they're lazy, this, that, and the other. And they have a hatred towards us because that's all they know. They don't have any kind of experience with us. Well, this is how the nations are viewing Yahweh. They have a hatred for Yahweh because they look at his children and say, look how his children are acting. Everywhere they go is a curse. It brings diseases and, bad weather and, the crops don't grow and rain and violence and all this stuff. So they have a hatred for Yah. They don't even know Yah. But they have a hatred for Yah because of his people that hate Yah. But if they saw us constantly being blessed and everybody that came around us was receiving blessings as long as they followed the laws and the statutes that we follow, then they wouldn't have such a hatred for Yah. Proverbs, Mishlei, chapter 12, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
Whoso loves instruction loves knowledge, but he that hates reproof is brutish. A good man obtains favor of Yahweh, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that makes ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and has a servant is better than he that honors himself and lacks bread. A righteous man regards the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tills his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that follows vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desires the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yields fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hand shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkens unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covers shame. He that speaks truth shows forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaks like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are an abomination to Yahweh, but they that deal truly are his delight.
All right, so when it comes to lying lips, it doesn't have to necessarily always be that you're speaking something that's not truthful. But when you are not walking according to the words that you're speaking, those are lying lips, and that's an abomination to the Most High. And when you act in a manner that is against righteousness, that's the Most High hates that, because he shows you through this whole proverb, he's showing you, I'm going to bless all the deeds of righteousness, but all the deeds of wickedness, I hate that. So you're going to receive the punishment, the recompense for that. So Yah stated that this, Yasharal, you are to be a holy people. That is the truth. When we operate against holiness, we become a lie, and we now become an abomination to the Most High. And when you are turning his apple of his eye, his glory, his inheritance, you're turning that away from the Most High. That's showing hatred towards him. That's like if you take one of my children and you turn them into something wicked or something evil. That shows that you hate me. So this is how we show that we hate the Most High, when we are supposed to be a holy people and we turn around and do wickedness to each other and to the other nations. Go ahead.
Verse 23. A prudent man conceals knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaims foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be under tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man makes it stoop, but a good word makes it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduces them. The slothful man roasts not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death.
All right. Let's move on. Let's go to Yohanan, John chapter 15. So you have people that understand that they're of the children of Yasharal. They understand they're of this nation. They understand who Yah is, and they claim that they hate Yah. That they love Yah. They tell you, oh, I love Yah. I'm the children of Yasharal. I'm an Israelite. I'm the tribe of Judah, and I love Yah. But when you love Yah, you love his word. And those people that are claiming that they love Yah, but then hate the Mashiach, they hate the word. The Mashiach was just a word in flesh. So when you look at their actions, they say that they don't believe in the Mashiach, but then how are you keeping the commandments if you're not covered under the blood? Where's your animal sacrifice? Where's your priest? Where's your Levite? Where's your temple? So you're claiming that you love the Most High, but you hating his word because you're not keeping the old letter of the law, and you're not covered under the blood of the Mashiach. So you're showing that you hate the Most High. You cannot love the Most High and hate his word. And hating his word is hating the Mashiach, because he was just the word in flesh, walking according to the word. So we're in Yohanan, John chapter 15, and we're going to start this at verse 1.
I am the true vine, and my Father is the husbandman. Every branch in me that bears not fruit he takes away, and every branch that bears fruit he purges it, that it may bring forth more fruit. Now you are clean through the word which I have spoken unto you. Abide in me, and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself except it abide in the vine, no more can you except you abide in me.
All right, so he says you are now clean through the word which he has spoken unto them. But a lot of us have heard this word, and that doesn't necessarily make you clean. You have to abide in him. You have to abide in the Mashiach, and to abide in the Mashiach means abide in the word. You have to walk according to this word in order to be cleansed by the word. Go ahead.
Verse 5. I am the vine, you are the branches. He that abides in me and I in him, the same brings forth much fruit, for without me you can do nothing. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered, and men gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. If you abide in me, and my words abide in you, you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. Herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit, so that you be my disciples.
All right, so it goes again with the elder was just talking about that the other day, about how people feel like, oh, just asking my name and you automatically receive this. But no, he's going right back and giving you the full picture here. You have to abide in him. You have to walk in this word, live in this word, breathe this word. And if you do so, what you shall ask, it shall be done unto you. But when you abide in the Mashiach, you are going to ask not for according to the lust of your own flesh. You're going to ask so that you can glorify the Father. And then he turns around and tells you how to glorify the Father, that you bear much fruit. So then you become a Talmudim, then you become a disciple. Go ahead.
Verse 9. As the Father has loved me, so have I loved you. Continue you in my love. If you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love.
So he said, as Yahweh loved me, so I loved you. Continue in my love. And how Yahweh loved Yahshua is he kept his commandment. He kept his word. He kept his covenant. That's how you love somebody. You keep the covenant. You keep the promise. So here you have Yahshua keeping the covenant, keeping the promise. And he's saying, look, I'm teaching you to do the same thing. Keep the covenant, keep the promise. Because the Most High is going to do the same to us, even when it hurts him. And it hurts the Most High for him to destroy us and allow us to be destroyed by weaker people than us, by nations that don't have power over us, by nations that we gave over the power to them to destroy us. That hurts the Most High. We're the apple of his eye, just like a parent that loves their child. When they punishing their child, they don't take pleasure out of that. They don't take pleasure out of punishing their child. If you love your child, you punishing him because it's a last resort, because you have to do that or else he's going to end up hurting himself. So when the Most High is dealing with us, he's keeping his commandments. Even when he's punishing us, he's keeping his commandments. Because he says point blank, those that I don't love, I don't chasten. I let them do what they want to do. But he loves the children of Yahshua. Go ahead.
Verse 11. These things have I spoken unto you, that my joy might remain in you, and that your joy might be full. This is my commandment, that you love one another, even as I loved you.
So, Mashiach taught the commandments, walked in the commandments, and taught others to do the same. So this is what he's commanding us to do to each other. And he was merciful with it and didn't expect that the first time he told somebody something that they were supposed to just automatically have the deep understandings of the mysteries of Elohim. But he was patient and he taught and he led by example, so that, okay, if you don't fully understand what I'm saying, then just watch what I'm doing. You're going to see how to walk according to this word. Go ahead.
Verse 13. Greater love has no man than this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. You are my friends, if you do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knows not what his master does, but I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. You have not chosen me, but I have chosen you, and ordained you that you should go and bring forth fruit, and that your fruit should remain, that whatsoever you shall ask of the Father in my name, he may give it you. These things I command you, that you love one another.
So you cannot love Yahweh and hate his word or hate his children. So this is why he's telling us we have to love one another. But again, just like what we said earlier, Yahweh loves us when he's punishing us. So it's the same thing with one another. When we deal with each other and I have to separate myself from somebody, or somebody has to separate themselves from me because I'm not walking in righteousness, that's love. Because if I promote what you're doing, you're just going to continue doing that until you hurt yourself. So this is how he commands us to love one another. Rebuke one another in love. Don't allow the person that you say that you so-called love to feel comfortable killing themselves in front of you.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Verse 18. If the world hate you, you know that it hated me before it hated you. If you are of the world would love his own. But because you are not of the world, but I have chosen you out of the world, therefore the world hates you. Remember the word that I said unto you, the servant is not greater than his master. If they have persecuted me, they will also persecute you. If they have kept my saying, they will keep yours also. But all these things will they do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not done and spoken unto them, they had not sinned. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hates me hates my Father also.
And that's why people don't want you to tell them about righteousness, because they want to stand around and act like what they're doing is okay. Don't say nothing. But if you say something, now they can't act like they think that you believe that what they're doing is okay. You've set yourself aside from wickedness to say, no. I can't deal with that. I can't deal with that. Go ahead.
Verse 20. Remember the word that I said unto you. The servant, I'll be further down than that. Verse 21. But all these things they will do unto you for my name's sake, because they know not him that sent me. If I had not come and spoken unto them, they had not sinned. But now they have no cloak for their sin. He that hates me hates my Father also. If I had not done among them the works which none other man did, they had not sinned. But now have they both seen and hated both me and my Father. But this comes to pass, that the word might be fulfilled that is written in their law. They hated me without a cause. But when the Comforter is come, whom I will send unto you from the Father, even the Spirit of truth, which proceeds from the Father, he shall testify of me. And you also shall bear witness, because you have been with me from the beginning. And that concludes John 15.
All right. Looks like we have a brother that was asking some questions. Hosea chapter 14 and verse 2. He's asking about that statement there where it says, take with your words and turn to Yahweh, say unto him, take away all our iniquity and receive us graciously, so will render the calves of our lips. This is a prophet speaking here. This is Hosea. It's prophesying the future, but that doesn't remove a commandment. That's prophecy. A prophecy does not remove a commandment. The commandments are still standing. And then he's talking about Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 39. And I'm assuming he's talking about pertaining to animal sacrifices and why we don't do animal sacrifices anymore. So if you look at Deuteronomy chapter 32 and 39, it says, see now that I, even I, am he, and there is no El or mighty one with me. I kill and I make alive, I wound, I heal, neither is there any that can deliver out of my hand. And that is, again, the understanding that there is no other than Yahweh. And that's absolutely correct, because the Mashiach is part of Elohim. This is why Yahweh is an Elohim. This is why it says Yahweh of hosts. It's a host of spirits that make him up. He's not like a man. There's only one me. There's only one you. But when you have this family together, we make Yasharal, which is one. So there is no other Yasharal. There is only one. So when you take that and you take the Greek understanding of making Yahshua some other god or something like that, that was separate from the Most High, that's how you have idol worship. And that's what Christianity does by making him a separate entity. He's just a sliver of energy that came off of Yahweh, that Yahweh said, this is going to be life. Just like the energy that he said, this is going to be dark. So to take that understanding and mix it with the Greek understanding that Yahshua is some kind of other God, that's not true. He is just the aspect of Yahweh that when Yahweh said, let there be light, that's what he did. He slivered off light. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. There's only one source of energy, and that energy is Yahweh. And Yahweh decided to sliver off his energy into whatever spirits that he decided to make to. So to take that understanding and mix it with the Greek understanding and try to take Yahshua and make him like he's some kind of other God is what's causing a lot of people to fall off. Because all he was just like us. Flesh that Yahweh put the spirit of Israel in. It's no different than us. But the difference between us and Yahshua was that that body was perfectly crafted for a purpose, to carry and hold the spirit of Yahshua the whole time. We read in Ecclesiastes, says no man has the power to retain the spirit. We can't retain that spirit, But because he was crafted for this purpose, he retained that spirit for the whole time. So if you have any more questions regarding that, we can definitely take that offline and go into that, because people are dying in that understanding. Because prophet can say that there's going to be no ephod, there's going to be no, also in Hosea it says no ephod, there's going to be no sacrifice and no nobody on the throne, this, that, and the other. And those are all prophecies, and those all are happening. But none of that removes void of Yah's word. Once he says this is a commandment, it goes out. That's it. A prophecy is not going to change that. It also prophesied that we weren't going to keep these commandments. But it doesn't mean that Yahweh is saying it's okay not to keep commandments. It's a prophecy. So we got to be careful with these teachers that are void of the spirit, that do not read the book, trying to teach our people to transgress this law. Because you are transgressing the law if you are not doing animal sacrifices for your sins, unless you are covered by that perfect sacrifice, the spiritual sacrifice. And all of that's in Torah all the way to the New Testament. All right. Again, now let's move on. We're going to go to 1 John chapter 4. And that was a very good question, because that's a teaching that's going around where people are trying to discredit this word. And they're using the Jesus Christ idol that was created by Rome, and they're trying to apply that to a Hebrew Mashiach, Yahshua HaMashiach, and trying to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You can't do that. We got to remove that Greek Zeus and Pallades and all these fake God understanding and go back to our Hebrew roots.
That's where you get from. The pantheon of gods that the Greeks had.
Right. He says, Yasharal is my firstborn. So if Yasharal is his firstborn, then what were the angels? The angels came before Jacob's name was changed to Yasharal. So that means he has to be talking about a spirit that was here before those angels, before Adam, before all of those things. And that spirit is the spirit of Yasharal. That was the spirit that was created when he said, let there be light. That spirit is being explained in John chapter 1, in verse 1. In the beginning was the Word was with Elohim, and the Word was Elohim. The only way that can be is if there's a plurality of spirits. That's the difference between El and Elohim, or Al and Elohim. That's the difference. So we're going to 1 John, 1 Yohanan, chapter 4. And we're going to start this at verse 1.
Beloved, believe not every spirit, but try the spirits whether they are of Elohim, because many false prophets are gone out into the world. Hereby know you the spirit of Elohim. Every spirit that confesses that Yahshua Mashiach is come in the flesh is of Elohim. And every spirit that confesses not that Yahshua Mashiach is come in the flesh is not of Elohim. And this is that spirit of anti-Mashiach, whereof you have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world.
All right. So that spirit that goes out, the spirit of falsehood, the spirit of lie, will go out and not acknowledge that Yahshua HaMashiach has come in the flesh. You're not acknowledging that the spirit of Yahshua resided within a man. We are living proof of that the spirit resided in a man. The word was made into flesh. This is already prophesied by another prophet in Isaiah chapter 53. But again, you have to deny the Torah, and you have to deny the New Testament, which is just the writings about the Old Testament, in order to disregard the Mashiach. You got to ignore Torah. But then they'll turn around and they'll go in and try to pull from the prophets and say the prophet said this, that, and the other, but then ignore the prophet that's prophesying that the Mashiach was going to go through the things that he went through. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 4. You are of Elohim, little children, and have overcome them, because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. They are of the world, therefore speak they of the world, and the world hears them. We are of Elohim. He that knows Elohim hears us. He that is not of Elohim hears not us. Hereby know we the spirit of truth and the spirit of error.
And this is how you know the spirit of truth. If you are contradicting the prophets and the Torah, then you are of the world. You're not of the spirit of the Most High. Because the spirit of the Most High, the children of Elohim, this resonates with us. When we hear the spirit of truth, it resonates with us. So that's how you try the spirit by the spirit. You put out the truth. You read any of these scriptures. And if they disagree with the scriptures, then that's not the spirit of the Most High, period. Because all of this goes together. The Most High does not contradict himself. And to avoid contradictions, you have to go to the original language that was written in. Go into the Hebrew, look up the Hebrew words, and at least see the definition of the Hebrew word so that you can get a proper translation and English understanding. Because we weren't raised in Hebrew. Most of us here were raised speaking English. So we understand things from an English perspective. So when we read the book in English, we understand it from an English perspective. And they took advantage of us by doing that, by taking English words and twisting them and using certain words to make us believe certain things. But if you use the book in its entirety to prove itself, because he's not going to say something once, he's going to say it multiple times to make sure that you're getting the proper understanding. Go ahead.
Verse 7. Beloved, let us love one another, for love is of Elohim, and everyone that loves is born of Elohim and knows Elohim.
But you got to know what love is. And speaking of that, for our Rosh Hashanah class, we're going to go over love. Yah love. And we're going to go over the definition of love and how to love and what love is according to these commandments. Go ahead.
He that loves not knows not Elohim, for Yahweh is love. In this was manifested the love of Yahweh toward us, because that Yahweh sent his only begotten Son into the world, that we might live through him. Herein is love, not that we loved Yahweh, but that he loved us, and sent his Son to be propitiation for our sins. Beloved, if Yahweh so loved us, we ought also to love one another. No man has seen Yahweh at any time. If we love one another, Elohim dwells in us, and his love is perfected in us. Hereby we know we that we dwell in him, and he in us, because he has given us of his Spirit. And we have seen and do testify that the Father sent the Son to be the Savior of the world.
So this is how we know that Yahweh dwells in us, because he has given us of his Spirit. We have been given that same light that was given to Yahshua HaMashiach when he was baptized at 30. That Spirit of Israel. That's why when he gives us his light in this word, it resonates with us. We have an understanding. We're putting it to use. Even when we don't fully understand it, we follow the instructions, and then the understanding comes to us. But those that are without light, if you are blind and somebody shines a light in the eye of a blind person, they're not going to receive it. I don't care how bright that light is. They're blind. They're incapable of receiving the light. Go ahead.
Verse 15. Whosoever shall confess that Yahshua is the Son of Yahweh Elohim dwells in him, and he in Elohim. And we have known and believed the love that Elohim has unto us. Yahweh is love, and he that dwells in love dwells in Elohim, and Elohim in him. Herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment, because as he is, so are we in this world. There is no fear in love, but perfect love casts out fear, because fear has torment. He that fears is not made perfect in love. We love him because he first loved us. If a man say, I love Elohim, and hates his brother, he is a liar. For he that loves not his brother whom he has seen, how can he love Elohim whom he has not seen?
And that's why it says that he that hates his brother is a murderer. Because you have already killed yourself. Because you hate your brother. Your brother is part of Elohim, is part of Yah. And when you hate this brother, you are hating the Most High. And you have now become a hater of Yah. And this is why you cannot have that hatred. Hatred is not part of the spirit that he gave us. He said for us to not even hate Esau. He gave us a commandment. What is it? Deuteronomy, is it 27?
Saying,
or that you shall not hate the Edomite. You shall not abhor the Edomite.
For he's your brother.
There's a commandment, and it says, do not hate the Egyptian. We are commanded not to hate. And the Egyptian had us in slavery and captivity. And Esau, it says point blank that Yah hates Esau. But he's the creator. He can hate what he likes, and he can like what he likes. But if our creator, the creator of all that was ever created, tells us this is what you need to do, we need to follow that instruction and not believe we are God and we can hate who Yah says not to hate. So we have to love our brother. And he said point blank, Esau is your brother. Go ahead.
Verse 21. And this commandment have we from him, that he who loves Elohim loves his brother also.
And we have to be careful with this definition of love. Like I said, we're going to go over this for new month. That love don't mean always romance, Roman love, where, you know, oh, baby, I love you like the moon. I give you the stars and the moon and this. That's not, that is part of love, but that's not all of love. Love is also chastening. Love is also rebuking. Love is also separation, like when y'all separated from us and said, listen, I love you so much, I got to move you over here because I'm going to end up killing y'all. That's love. Love ain't always, so when it talks about love your enemies, that don't mean you go hold your enemy's hand after he doing wickedness and killing our people and we hold his hand and say, I love you. That's not what he's talking about. That's that Greek understanding. And again, we throw the baby out with a bathwater and say, well, I'm not going to be holding my enemy's hand and it says love my enemy. So that means I should just throw it out and just hate my enemy. Now you hate your enemy when you don't say anything to him when he's doing wickedness. That's how you hate him. Because he's going to keep doing wickedness till he gets killed.
Brother, in verse 17, it says, herein is our love made perfect, that we may have boldness in the day of judgment. One of those being having no fear and behaving in love. You know, I remember having a conversation earlier in the week that we went over the part where people are going to be going and saying, oh, look, I've done all these great things. Have I not prophesied in your name? And like this, like it's going to justify you getting into the kingdom. When we really want to have the mindset of, you know, I'm going to my Father's house. You know, you don't want to go there with condemnation already on your heart because of all the guilty consciences. And then you're like, well, I did this and I did that. No, maintain your relationship with the Father from now on.
Right.
Because even with our parents, you go to your mom's house, you're like, no, I'm not going to invite me. I'm a bidded guest. Right. If I'm sitting in the lowest seat, he would bid me to come to a higher seat. Right. We don't want to come to the Father with a condemned mind and the spirit that's already has things condemning us, because he will let us know from now. But a lot of times people harden their hearts against it, and they come before the Father with that condemned heart. But instead, you want to have that boldness to say, yeah, we're going to our Father's house, and I'm planning on getting in. I'm not planning to go there begging like, well, you know, please. And my testimony began way before this time. I'm not gonna just come to the doors of the gates of the Father's house and just be like, well, this is what my resume looked like. And my Father was gonna handle that. He bid me to come.
Exactly.
I'm not a beggar. He bid me to come here, and we want that boldness. Only having that because we were loving and had that loving heart from here on out, casting everything and shedding everything with all our being, with all our heart, like the scriptures told us to do.
Right, because we understand the Shem of the Most High. We understand Yahweh. We know him. And we know that, okay, I have done what the Father told me to do. So what am I worried about? So I'm coming before him. And I have my brother, Yeshua here, the word to be my witness. Because the word says, do this. Did I not do that? Okay, do this. When I didn't do it, what did I do? I repented. So you have that boldness. That doesn't mean that you walk in there prideful.
No, exactly.
You walk in there humble, but you're not walking in there trying to, like you said, trying to bargain your way in, like trying to slide in through the top window.
Yeah.
You coming through the front door with the gate. They got your tribe right over it. Shabbat shalom, brother.
As an invited guest, not
as an invited guest.
He bid me. He told me, come this way, and I started going this way. Right,
and you ain't got to sit here and talk about, I built this hospital, I did this, I did that. No, you said you walk in there, understand, I kept these commandments.
And if I'm rejected, so be it.
That's his righteousness.
That's his righteousness.
But
Yes, sir.
Finish that last verse. I just wanted to bring back, you stated about a commandment that we should not hate our brother, because the Edomite, it says in verse 7 of 23, Deuteronomy, thou shalt not abhor an Edomite, for he is thy brother. Thou shalt not abhor an Egyptian, because thou wast a stranger. He was a stranger in the land. So I wanted to bring that point up in case anybody was looking for it. Maisha had found it immediately and then gave it to me to give to you.
Deuteronomy 23. That's what I said, right?
20? No, you said 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay.
23 verse 7.
Okay.
Good. And that close verse 21. And this is the commandment that we have from him, that he who loves Elohim loves his brother also.
All right. Let's go to Yeshaya chapter 14, Isaiah chapter 14. And we're going to see the characteristics of somebody that hates the Most High. Isaiah.
We'll go past this.
Proverbs? Actually, Proverbs chapter 6. Mishlei chapter 6. And again, these are the characteristics that Yah hates. And the characteristics of somebody that hates Yah.
Proverbs chapter 6.
Proverbs. Mishlei chapter 6.
Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 1. My son, if you be surety for your friend, if you have stricken your hand with a stranger, you are snared with the words of your mouth, you are taken with the words of your mouth. Do this now, my son, and deliver yourself when you are come into the hand of your friend. Go, humble yourself, and make sure your friend. Give not sleep to your eyes, nor slumber to your eyelids. Deliver yourself as a roe from the hand of the hunter, and as a bird from the hand of the fowler. Go to the ant, you sluggard, consider her ways, and be wise, which having no guide, overseer, or ruler, provides her meat in the summer, and gathers her food in the harvest. How long will you sleep, O sluggard? When will you arise out of your sleep? Yet a little sleep, a little slumber, a little folding of the hands to sleep, so shall your poverty come as one that travels, and your want as an armed man. A naughty person, a wicked man, walks with a froward mouth. He winks with his eyes, he speaks with his feet, he teaches with his fingers. Frowardness is in his heart, he devises mischief continually, he sows discord. Therefore shall his calamity come suddenly, suddenly shall he be broken without remedy. These 6 things does Yahweh hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among brethren.
So these things that Yah hates, they're all pertaining to how we deal with one another. When you're doing these things, you're not loving your brother. You're not loving the father. You are hating him by hating his children by doing these things. When you are walking with a proud look and having a lying tongue, hands that shed innocent blood, heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that is quick to run into mischief, false witness that speaks lies, and sowing discord among brethren. These are not the type of things that you do to somebody that you love. You don't do that to your spouse or your children or your brother, your sister, your mother. You don't do those type of things. So when you hate Yah, you are hating his children. You are doing things that are not beneficial to his children. And this is not even just doing it to Israel, doing that to anybody when you're doing wickedness. Go ahead.
Verse 20. My son, keep your father's commandment and forsake not the law of your mother. Bind them continually upon your hand and tie them about your neck. When you go, it shall lead you. When you sleep, it shall keep you. And when you wake, it shall talk with you. For the commandment is a lamp, and the law is a light, and reproofs of instruction are the way of life, to keep you from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue of a strange woman. Lust not after her beauty in your heart, neither let her take you with her eyelids. For by means of a whorish woman a man is brought to a piece of bread, and the adulteress will hunt for precious life. Can a man take fire in his...
We're Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 27.
Mishlei, Proverbs chapter 6 and verse 27. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned?
So this is something that we feel that we can do. We feel that we come in this word, we learn these commandments, we learn these steps for righteousness, and we feel that we can go around entities that are hating the Most High, that are doing the things that show point blank that we have hatred for the Most High. But that's not possible for us to yoke ourselves to these people and not be affected. We still have to be around these people because we are light, and the light has to shine amongst darkness. This is why the Mashiach would be around the sick people, but he didn't yoke himself to them. He didn't call them his Talmudim. He didn't make them his disciples. So we have to know the difference and be honest with ourselves. Are we around certain individuals to be a light or receive light in some capacity? Or are we around the people because we envy the wickedness? We envy the lifestyle that we per se can't necessarily do anymore, but we want to be around it. We want to see it. We want to enjoy the benefits of that wicked lifestyle. So we have to be honest with ourselves with that. You have something, Elder?
I'm very glad you expounded on that, brother, because as we consistently study this scripture, as we consistently try to walk, you know, we know we fall down, but we get up and try to walk and correct ourselves. As Yahweh said, if you judge yourself, he don't have to judge you. How is it possible that we can study this word, have this word try to be embedded into our hearts and souls, and walk in this word, and still be around the ways of this world with people and forget this word? It's impossible to forget this word with everything that comes out of our mouth, everything that we see has Yahweh wrapped in it, even for the blessing part or the cursing part. You know, as he said, you cannot have sweet water and bitter water come out the same well. So this is what Yahweh is trying to tell you. If you abide in his law, his Father's law, you abide in him. If you abide also in yourself, because if you want to follow Yahweh, the scriptures will teach you how. You allow Yahshua's ways become part of you, because those ways are of his Father. So that's how he kept saying, if you see me, you see the Father.
Right.
You know, and how in the world can we walk out in the world and become part of this world when we know the truth?
Right. You
can't plow the field and turn from the plow and think that everything is going to be okay. That's why I'm glad you brought that point up, because that's the thing we need to all think about. When this word touches us, how can we leave it? You can't. This is truth. So what is going on inside of us if we can turn our face away from this word and think that we okay?
Right. And that's a very deep concept that flew over their minds. They thinking like, from the carnal mind is thinking, so God looks like a black man, you know, walking around with, you know, a beard and locks in his hair. That's what God looked like. That's how the carnal mind thinks. But when he's saying, when you have seen me, you have seen the Father, you have seen these righteous actions. You have seen this word. You have seen righteousness. That's the Father. That's not me. That's the Father. So when we go around these other people that are idolatrous, that are abominable, that are not showing the sign to the Father that they are his children, we have to exhibit that light. We have to exude that light where they have seen the Father, because they have seen a servant that's keeping commandments. that may be upset with you or may not, or may like you or may not like you. But at the end of the day, he's going to act in the holiness that the Father provided, which is the righteousness of this law. And this is how we are in the image of the Most High. This is how somebody asked a question about why Cain wasn't shown in the lineage of Adam. And it's because Cain wasn't in the image of Adam. He was an image of man. The image of Adam was righteousness. So it's the same thing with us. For us to look like the Father and be part of Elohim, we have to have the spirit of Elohim, which is the spirit of righteousness. And that's how you see the Father. And when you look in the life of any servant, you're supposed to see the image of the Most High in their life, because you're supposed to see those righteous acts, that submission to the righteousness of the law. Because even though Yahweh made this law in making this light, in making the spirit of Yasharah, he made that, he's still adhering to that same law. So he's showing us the example. So he's showing us what the Father looks like. So the world should see that in us and see the benefits of being part of the Father.
That's right.
Go ahead, brother.
Verse 29. So he that goes into his neighbor's wife, whosoever touches her shall not be innocent. Men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He shall give all the substance of his house. But whoso commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He that does it destroys his own soul. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away.
All right, so let's just deal with those few verses right there. It starts, it says, men do not despise a thief if he steal to satisfy his soul when he's hungry. But when he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. He should give all the substance of his house. So then, we're thinking, okay, it's talking about somebody, physically stealing something, stealing some bread, whatever, he's hungry. But then it immediately goes right back and says, but, letting you know that it's part of the same thought. Whoso commits adultery with a woman lacks understanding. He that does it destroys his own soul. So it's talking about, again, from the carnal perspective, a man that has a husband. A man that has a wife. He has a wife, then he goes out and he sleeps with somebody else's wife. That's the basic carnal level. But if you take it another spiritual level, it's talking about the children of Yasharah. You have a husband. You have Yahweh. You have an Elohim. You have a true living Elohim who's shown himself to you and have shown you his righteousness, which is his word, his son, Yahshua HaMashiach. He's shown you this. But while having this, you are now going after these other entities, these other spirits that he said no strange ale is supposed to be in you. The spirit of wickedness, the spirit of covetousness, the spirit of idolatrous worship, the spirit of hating your brother. And you are taking that to be your husband when you already have a husband or you already have a wife. You have this church. And now you're going into these other camps and assemblies that do not esteem Yahweh and yoking yourself. A man is going to despise that. Go ahead.
Verse 33, a wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. For jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though you give many gifts.
From the carnal level, man is not trying to listen to you when you're trying to explain to him why you slept with his wife. He's not trying to hear that. You better pray to Yah that man got some spirit of Yah in him at that moment. Because any man is going to try to kill you. You're not going to pay him off. Well, that's the carnal level. Same thing goes for the spiritual level. Yahweh not trying to hear why you done worshiped another God and didn't repent. He not trying to hear that. If that's on your resume when you go before the Father, that's it. That's it for you. Unless you are like the man here that stole to satisfy his soul because he was hungry. He didn't know the Most High. He didn't have no knowledge. This was never brought to him. He didn't understand that. That person will be judged differently than the person that Yahweh has shown himself to you, given you of his spirit, led you to the water. You've been immersed, and now you get up and you commit adultery? There's no ransom. He's not going to rest content. You can give him many gifts and talk about it. Didn't I do all these things in your name? Get away from me, you worker of what?
Iniquity.
Which is sin, transgression of the law. Let's go to 1 John, 1 Yohanan chapter 2. We got to always take these things at the carnal level first, because we live in a carnal world. And then once you understand that concept, then you have to now apply the spiritual understanding to it. What is the spirit? Because Yah is a spirit. What is the spiritual significance of it? That's how you read and study the word. Because at the end of the day, it's for you to gain the spiritual understanding so that you can apply it properly. And this is why Yahshua had to come down here in the flesh. Israel had to come dwell in the body of Yahshua so that we could understand from the carnal perspective how to walk in the word, and then also receive the spiritual gifts of how to keep that spirit of that law. And if you rejecting the Mashiach, then you're not going to get the spiritual understanding of the law, because you're rejecting the word. And this is how they get stuck in hanging up calves upside down and lambs and sacrificing lambs and doing all these type of things, thinking that they keeping the commandments. You're not a Levite. You not, even if you were a Levite, you're not a son of Aaron, whose father was the son of Aaron, who was a high priest. You're not keeping the commandments in the Old Testament. And you're not being covered under the blood by the Mashiach. So where you at? You just somebody that's not keeping commandments, a hater of Yah.
1 Yohanan, 1 John chapter 2 and verse 1. My little children, these things write I unto you, that you sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Yahshua Mashiach, the righteous. And he is the propitiation for our sins, and not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world.
Because the whole world has that same opportunity to repent. He came to us, showed us first, but he opened the door to the rest of the world that you can repent too. Go ahead.
And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments. He that says, I know him, and keeps not his commandments, is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keeps his word in him, verily is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that says he abides in him ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked.
So there's even further validation where it says that ask anything in my name and you will receive if you abide in me. So here's further clarification how to abide in this word. You have to walk the same way the Mashiach walked. And the Mashiach walked according to the instructions and commandments of the Father.
Verse 7. Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which you had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which you have heard from the beginning. Again, a new commandment I write unto you, which thing is true in him and in you, because darkness is past, and the true light now shines. He that says he is in the light and hates his brother is in darkness even until now.
Because he has no concept of mercy. He has no understanding of love, that you were put here to help your brother, to help your sister, not to kill him. That wasn't your job. Go ahead.
He that loves his brother abides in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him. But he that hates his brother is in darkness, and walks in darkness, and knows not where he goes, because that darkness has blinded his eyes. I write unto you, little children, because your sins are forgiven you for his name's sake. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you, young men, because you have overcome the wicked one. I write unto you, little children, because you have known the Father. I have written unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto you, young men, because you are strong, and the word of Yahweh abides in you, and you have overcome the wicked one. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him. For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof, but he that does the will of Elohim abides forever.
So if you yoke yourself to this world and the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, the pride of life, which is not of the Father, when this world passes away, you're going to pass away with it. Go ahead.
Verse 18, little children, it is the last time. And as you have heard that anti-Mashiach shall come, even now are there many anti-Messiahs, whereby we know it is the last time. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would have no doubt continued with us. But they went out, that they might be made manifest, that they were not all of us.
And that is one of the saddest things that you will see in this word, is people that went out with you, people that dipped in that water with you, that became part of the same family, but chose not to continue with the Mashiach, chose not to continue with this word. And this is for a sign to show you that everybody ain't the same. We not all Yasharal. Just because we of the same nation does not make you spiritual. And that's the hard thing to deal with. But despite that, just because somebody has discontinued in this word does not give you the right to hate them, which would be to judge them and say they're going to the lake of fire. That's it for them. They'll never come back from that. No, you still have to have mercy, and you still have to provide a good example and leave a door open for repentance for them. And try to motivate in whatever way you can without intervening in their will to lead them back to the Father. Go ahead.
Verse 20. But you have an unction from the Holy One, and you know all things. I have not written unto you because you know not the truth, but because you know it, and that no lie is of the truth. Who is a liar but he that denies that Yahshua is the Mashiach? He is anti-Mashiach, that denies the Father and the Son. Whosoever denies the Son, the same has not the Father. He that acknowledges the Son has the Father also. Let that therefore abide in you which you have heard from the beginning. If that which you have heard from the beginning shall remain in you, you also shall continue in the Son and in the Father.
And when you deny the Father and deny the Son, you denying the Word. Remove that idol image of the Mashiach. Remove it. That was just an image that was put here for us to understand how a man with 2 legs and 2 arms walks. That's all that was. That was not for us to worship. It was the actions, the spirit, the righteousness that he walked according to, and the words that he spoke, which were according to this Torah, is what we are supposed to acknowledge. We're supposed to acknowledge those things. And when you deny the Mashiach, you have to deny this word. You have to deny from Genesis all the way to Revelation, and the Sefer writings, and Jubilees, and Enoch, and all these different writings. You have to disacknowledge all those things to deny Yahshua HaMashiach, because it's talking about him before we were even given the Torah. It was talking about him in Enoch. It's talking about him in Jubilees, which is called the Little Genesis. All these things were given, and this is what he's talking about. But we want to oversimplify it and say, oh, well, you just denied Jesus, i.e. Zeus, the Greek pagan god. No, you denying the word. That's what you're denying. You have to deny this word. Or if you place somebody else in the place of this word and place another carnal man who walked on this earth and say he is Yahshua HaMashiach, or he was the Messiah, the only begotten Son, then you hate this word, because his whole life that he lived in claiming to be the Mashiach doesn't fit this word. So you're denying the word. So whether you believe some random dude who was in your lifetime was the Mashiach, you denying this scripture because it don't fit the scripture. If you say Yahshua HaMashiach, who came in the flesh way before our time, according to the volume of this book, is not the Son of the Most High, then you denying this word. Go ahead, brother.
Verse 25. And this is the promise that he has promised us, even eternal life. These things have I written unto you concerning them that seduce you. But the anointing which you have received of him abides in you, and you need not any man teach you, but at the same anointing teaches you of all things, and is truth, and is no lie. And even as it taught you, you shall abide in him. And now, little children, abide in him, that when he shall appear, we may have confidence and not be ashamed before him at his coming. If you know that he is righteous, you know that everyone that does righteousness is born of him.
Show us the Father. Those that do righteousness. And what is righteousness? Righteousness is walking according to the law, walking according to the righteousness that he prescribed to us. And you can see the carnal thinking of a people that were raised in this Babylonian way of thinking, in this Greek mind frame. They'll make statements. I seen one statement, a brother was saying, well, how is he going to be the Mashiach? When was he anointed with oil? Well, then you ask yourself, well, was not Moshe anointed? When was Moshe anointed with oil? And you don't believe, and this is how the carnal mind thinks, because they're looking, flipping through videos or whatever, or looking at how many Hebrews believe this and how many don't believe this, and they say statements like, well, the immaculate deception, that couldn't have happened. He was carnally this person's son and this, that, and the other. But then they turn around and defend Adam being created from the dust of the earth. Yeah. So you believe Adam was created from the dust of the earth, but you don't believe that the Most High is going to create a perfect vessel without sin to carry his firstborn spirit. Just the carnal thinking. That is what kills us, that carnality. That carnality going to die. But the spirit is what lives forever. So we need to start shedding that carnality and trying to prepare ourselves for the spirit, because this is what this time is for. It's to prepare ourselves to be a full-time spirit. Go ahead, Elder.
Just to add on what you're saying, I mean, people today can believe that man can go in these clinics and put seed in the cup.
Right, man can do that.
And man can do that, and then they can freeze it, and a woman can come in there and decide, well, hey, I want that seed.
Right.
It could be a year from now, 10 years from now, however long they can hold that seed, but they can't believe that Yahweh, the creator of all and all there is, can take seed and hold it for 1,000 years and create the body of a man that can house the spirit.
Right.
And then, like I said, bro, then they can't even speak the word Yeshua, and they can learn in the books where Jesus came only 500 years ago,
right,
in the Greek. But yet, what was he called before that?
Right.
1,500 years before that, what was he called? They can't conceive the idea. His name is Yeshua. The power's in the name. See, these are the things. Maybe it is that maybe Yahweh is not going to allow them to speak the name of his son, because it's not in your heart to believe.
Right.
Maybe that's what they need to think about. And if you do speak the name, do you believe? Are you going to follow the commandments?
Right.
These are the things that they put their mind on. How are they walking in this word?
Yeshayah, Isaiah chapter 14. And when it all comes down to it, those that refuse to humble themselves to the Most High, they do that because they want to be the Most High. They want to be God. They want to be the superior being, the superior spirit. And that's what it all comes down to, because they're of their father, the adversary, the devil, because that's what the adversary, the devil, wants to do. His job, his servitude is not good enough. No. Just like Israel, we were given a job. Yahshua was given a job to be the servants of the Most High, the witnesses of the Most High. That job ain't good enough. We want to be above that. We want to be God himself. Now, where did that spirit come from? That spirit came from the adversary, because it's a lie. That spirit is a lie. You'll never be the Most High. Yahshua will never be the Most High. Ever. There's Yahweh, period. We ain't going to change that. And to believe that you have that power is a lie. and all lies are the adversary of the devil.
Isaiah, Yeshayah, chapter 14 and verse 1. For Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Yasharal and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
So who are these strangers?
Other nations.
So what's this doctrine that only Israel gonna be saved and everybody else gonna die? They're not reading this book.
No, they're not.
And if you don't read the book, you'll believe that too. Because it's easy to get any black man in America to be upset with white people. That's easy. It don't take hard. That's an easy job. But if you get in this book, you see that that's not consistent with scriptures. Go ahead.
They shall cleave to the house of Jacob.
If they don't, they're going to die. Period. Because they're going to have to cleave unto the righteousness of this law. Or they're not getting no rain. Or they ain't getting no food.
And even before that, Jacob has to learn how to cleave to the law. Because if he's not acting right, everything's going to be out of order.
Exactly.
Verse 2.
Hold on a second.
What about Galatians chapter 4? Chapter 3, when it says there's neither Jew, Yehuda, nor Greek, Gentile. There is neither blind nor free. There is neither male nor female, for you all are one in Yeshua HaMashiach. He's talking about the resurrection here.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, if we want to keep preaching hate doctrine, that the Gentile has no worth, Gentile will not be in the kingdom, they only preach that, oh, you're just going to be slaves.
Mm-hmm.
How do you mean that? Because we go into the kingdom, if they shall be our servants, we shall not treat them evil with rigor. We will not injure them.
Right.
Because then we can show no love of the Father. This is just what he's saying is he chose us to do a job.
Mm-hmm.
He did not choose them to do a job. So yes, you will have servants taking care of you.
Right.
The same as you say Yeshua said he was a servant to his following,
Right.
to his disciples. The master's no greater than the servant.
Right.
You know? So you need to stop preaching these hate doctrines because they do have a chance to come into the kingdom, just like you do.
Right. I mean, when it all comes down to it, some of us that have multiple children, you only gonna have one firstborn, period. That's your firstborn. That's never going to change. That firstborn receives a double honor. So Yasharal is Yahweh's firstborn. We receive a double honor. That doesn't mean that the other ones aren't his children too.
That's right.
It's just that we're his firstborn, so we are given that honor, and that's it, simply. But that firstborn got all the work, got to do all the work. They're the ones that had to do everything first. They're the ones that got the most responsibility, the ones that get in trouble the most. When I come in the house and there's some kind of mess going on, the first person I'm going to is my firstborn, and I'm looking at her like, you better explain to me what's going on. Well, they ain't want, yeah. But you was there, right? You saw it, right? You allowed it, right? It's your fault. Even when it's not her fault. It's your fault. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Yasharal shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give you rest from your sorrow and from your fear and from the hard bondage wherein you were made to serve, that you shall take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how has the oppressor ceased? The golden city ceased. Yahweh has broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hinders. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at you, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since you are laid down, no fellow has come up against us. The grave from beneath is moved forth to meet you at your coming. It stirs up the dead for you, even all the chief ones of the earth. It has raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations, and they shall speak and say unto you, are you become weak as we? Are you become like unto us? Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your viols. The worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you.
And who is he talking about here? He's talking about the adversary, the devil here. Are you, because it's going to take him to be destroyed for the whole earth to break out into rest and sing. And the adversary, as a spirit, has to be made into a man the same way Yeshua was made into a man in order to die, because you can't kill that spirit like that. So this is where the Walking Dead and these zombies and all this stuff comes from. It comes from biblical context. So you're seeing the adversary here. Your pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of your viols, because he was the over the music. His vocal cords was like viols. The worm is spread under you, and the worms cover you. You are being destroyed. Go ahead.
Verse 12. How are you fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How are you cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations?
And what's crazy is the Catholic Church still sing to Lucifer to this day. And they do it on TV. They don't care.
Which did weaken the nations. Verse 13. For you said in your heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of all. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the cloud. I will be like the Most High.
I will be like the Most High. And that's the problem. When we want to be holy like the Most High, that's one thing. But when you want the Shem of the Most High, you want to his place. You want to be his place. That's where it becomes a problem. And when you look at these other pagan gods, they're trying to take the place of the Most High. Just like in here, this sounds like Santa Claus. I'll ascend above the heights of the clouds. You know, he know if you've been naughty, he know if you've been nice. You know, he's giving these gifts to people that are so-called good. These are all the images that have been given to us of these pagans that are trying to take something and make it like the Most High, when there's only one Most High. Just like the scripture the brother brought up, there is no other.
Verse 13.
15.
Verse 15. Yet you shall be brought down to the grave, to the sides of the pit. They that see you shall narrowly look upon you and consider you, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. But you are cast out of your grave like an abominable branch, and as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword that go down to the stones of the pit, and as a carcass trodden under feet. You shall not be joined with them in burial, because you have destroyed your land and slain your people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned.
So the adversary, the devil, verse 20, you shall not be joined with them in burial, because you has destroyed your land and slain your people. The seed of evildoers shall never be renowned. And that's his people, the seed of evildoers. So the adversary, the devil, has his own people. Cain was his own people. He was a seed of an evildoer, and this is why he wasn't reconciled with Adam and Seth. When Seth was born, it said he was after the image of Adam, a spiritual image. Go ahead.
Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquity of their fathers, that they do not rise nor possess the land, nor fill the face of the world with cities. For I will rise up against them, says Yahweh of hosts, and cut off from Babylon the name and remnant and son and nephew, says Yahweh. I will also make it a possession for the bittern, and pools of water will sweep it with the besom of destruction, says Yahweh of hosts.
All right, we'll stop right there. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 28.
You stopped at 21.
Yeah. No, we stopped at 23. Ezekiel chapter 28. Now, it's talking about these kings, but Daniel explains that there are spirits, there are angels that are over these kingdoms, that are pushing these nations to do the will of the Most High. So where it says it's talking about these specific kings in these readings that we're reading, when you read further into it and you go down and you get down further in the verses, it starts to let you know who's he really addressing. He's addressing that spirit that has yoked himself to the king.
Don't know exactly where it's at right now, but this is also what Yeshua did to Cephas. When Cephas told him, that we can't let that happen to you, and he was telling him what's going to happen to him being crucified and so forth. And he says, he rebuked Satan, and people need to look at that again. I can't remember where it's at right now, but he wasn't talking to Cephas. He was talking to the spirit that inhabited him at that time, because he thought he was,
He sounded nice. I don't want nothing bad happen to you.
No,
right.
That's correct. He didn't want anything to happen to him, but he didn't understand the spiritual meaning of that.
Speaking against the Holy Spirit.
That's right. So I just want to bring it up because that's what we're talking about right now. That's another witness to what we're talking about.
Ezekiel 28.
The word of Yahweh came again unto me. Ezekiel 28 and verse 1. The word of Yahweh came again unto me, saying, Son of man, say unto the prince of Tyrus, Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, because your heart is lifted up, and you have said, I am in awe. I sit in the sea of Elohim, in the midst of the seas, yet you are a man, not in awe. Though you set your heart as the heart of Elohim, behold, you are wiser than Daniel. There is no secret that they can hide from you. With your wisdom and with your understanding you have gotten you riches, and have gotten gold and silver unto your treasures. By your great wisdom and by your traffic you have increased your riches, and your heart is lifted up because of your riches. Therefore thus says my sovereign Yahweh, because you have set your heart as the heart of Elohim, behold, therefore I will bring strangers upon you, and the terrible of the nations, and they shall draw their swords against the beauty of your wisdom, and they shall defile your brightness. They shall bring you down to the pit, and you shall die the deaths of them that are slain in the midst of the seas. Will you yet say before him that slays you, I am Elohim? But you shall be a man and know all in the hand of him that slays you. Though you shall die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers, for I have spoken it, says my sovereign Yahweh.
All right, so he's talking to this prince, but at the same time, the spirit that inhabited this prince, that convinced him to believe that he is the Most High. Just like Pharaoh, same thing. Pharaoh believed that he was the Most High. Well, there's a certain spirit that is yoking itself with you to make you believe that. And you don't have to be as bold as this person. These people are easier for them to say that they're the Most High because they're the power on the earth at this given time. So it's easy for them to be that exalted up. But within us, it's kind of hard for us to come out and just say, hey, I'm the Most High. Because people be looking at me, man, you the Most High, bro. Why are you working for this white man over here if you the Most High? Why why you bleed like me? Why are you doing all these different things? So it's hard for us to come out with our mouth and say that. But then our actions are verifying the same different thing when we say, I'm going to do what I want to do. I make things happen. I'm going to take credit for everything good that happens. You are making yourself the Most High. You just haven't been elevated or exalted to the point where you can actually come out your mouth and say, I'm the Most High. So we have to watch that same spirit. That's still the evidence of the spirit of the adversary, the devil in us, when we are acting as if we are the Most High because we have free will. Go ahead.
Ezekiel 28 verse 11. Moreover, the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, take up a lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto him, Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, you seal up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You have been in Eden, the garden of Elohim.
Okay, so was the Prince Tyrus in the Garden of Eden?
No.
We know he wasn't in the Garden of Eden, because there's a flaming sword all the way around the Garden of Eden. He might have been in Eden, the area, but the Garden of Eden, if you look at that Hebrew word, as hedge, is protected. You can't get in there. We know Eden is in the continent they call Africa. We know that. But he wasn't in the garden. Go ahead. The adversary, the devil, was, though.
You seal up the sum, full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. You have been in Eden, the garden of Elohim. Every precious stone was your covering, the sardius, the topaz, and the diamond, the beryl, the onyx, and the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, and the carbuncle and gold.
Now, are those the same stones as the 12 stones?
I believe so.
Yeah, so, yeah. Yes, so.
Okay.
And gold, the workmanship of your tabrets and of your pipes, was prepared in you the day you were created. You are the anointed cherub that covers, and I have set you so. You were upon the holy mountain of Elohim. You have walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire.
All right, so he was the anointed cherub that covers. He was supposed to cover life, cover this word, but instead he took that power and used it to cause death. Go ahead.
You were perfect in your ways from the day that you were created till iniquity was found in you. By the multitude of your merchandise, they have filled the midst of you with violence, and you have sinned. Therefore I will cast you as profane out of the mountain of Elohim, and I will destroy you, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. You have corrupted your wisdom by reason of your brightness. I will cast you to the ground. I will lay you before kings, that they may behold you.
So it says your heart was lifted up because of your beauty. Let's look at that word for beauty. What's the Strong's number on that?
This verse,
17.
This is 3308.
And this is something that we have to we have to watch with this vanity. All right, and the word for that is Yofi. Yofi, which is H3308, spelled Yophiy, and that's beauty. So it's your appearance, a beautiful appearance. You look at the root word, it's Yafa, which is to be bright, that is beautiful, be beautiful, fair, depth. So when we allow our outer appearance to be more important than our spiritual appearance, it causes us to be caught in that same spirit that the adversary of the devil was caught in. This vanity, which can cause us to exalt ourselves and lift and feel that we are better because we are more attractive on the outside. And that's something that the world treats us that way. If you are a beautiful person, the world opens up. The world is your oyster shell. When you're beautiful, and beautiful people grow up feeling like they entitled to something, that they owed something. And that is a problem. You are not above your brother because you might be, according to worldly standards or European standards, considered more beautiful. So that's why we have to watch that vanity. The Most High gave us these garments and our appearance and our melanin and all this stuff for his glory and his beauty. His glory and beauty, not for our glory and beauty.
Yeshua wasn't that beautiful.
And that's why they made Yahshua not something comely.
That's right.
That way he could test the hearts of man to see, are you going to find that spirit that's in him, which is the most beautiful thing in the world, the life of man, the light of man. Are you going to find that attractive? Because you have even a man. We don't look at men, normal men don't look at a man as he's attractive or whatever. But if a man has a nice stature and is, is tall and looks like a warrior, then we like, yeah, that's a man's man here. That's who I want to be my leader. And he removed all that with Yahshua. He didn't make him like King Saul, shoulders above everybody and all that. And he made him a normal man so that the average person would overlook him.
Verse 19. All they that know you among the people shall be astonished at you. You shall be a terror, and never shall you be any more. Again the word of Yahweh came unto me, saying, Son of man, set your face against Zidon, and prophesy against it, and say, Thus says my sovereign Yahweh, Behold, I am against you, O Zidon, and I will be glorified in the midst of you, and they shall know that I am Yahweh, when I shall have executed judgments in her, and shall be sanctified in her. For I will send into her pestilence, and blood into her streets, and the wounded shall be judged in the midst of her by the sword upon her on every side. And they shall know that I am Yahweh. And there shall be no more a pricking briar unto the house of Yasharal, nor any grieving thorn of all that are round about them, that despise them. And they shall know that I am the sovereign Yahweh. That thus says my sovereign Yahweh, when I shall have gathered the house of Yasharal from the people among whom they are scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen, then shall they dwell in their land that I have given to my servant Yaakov. And they shall dwell safely therein, and shall build houses and plant vineyards. Yea, they shall dwell with confidence, when I have executed judgments upon all those that despise them round about them. And they shall know that I am Yahweh their Elohim.
So this is the future prophecy regarding Yasharal. None of this fits those people over there now that say that they're us. They not dwelling there safely. They got bomb shelters. They got sirens that go off every so often when missiles are flying over there. If they were us, then Yah would have took care of all their enemies that came against them. But yet they got enemies of all those other nations that also trying to claim to be us, that want to go in that land, that is fighting those people because they like, at least we from the same continent. Y'all ain't even from the same continent. So that's further proof that those people are imposters. Now let's go to the conclusion. Let's go to Revelation 13. Because this is how we know we are coming into the end times. When we come into the end times, you're going to see this beast, this entity, rise up in the earth to the point where anybody who wants to stand for any kind of righteousness is being persecuted. and the blasphemy that's going on now, where people are claiming to be gods and claiming that they have this power and claiming to be the children of Yasharal, but don't want to keep the commandments. Revelation chapter 13, let's start this at verse 1.
And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were as the feet of a bear, and his mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him his power and his seat and great authority.
All right, and the common understanding regarding this would be the 3 would be the Babylonian, Persian, and then the Macedonian.
And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wandered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon which gave power unto the beast, and they worshipped the beast, saying, Who is like unto the beast? Who was able to make war with him? And there were given unto him a mouth, speaking great things and blasphemies, and power was given him to continue 42 months. And he opened his mouth in blasphemy against Yahweh, to blaspheme his name and his tabernacle and them that dwell in heaven. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. If any man have an ear, let him hear. He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. He that kills with the sword must be killed with the sword. Here is the patience and faith of the saints.
And when you go into those new version writings, they won't say that.
No.
He that leads into captivity shall go into captivity. It doesn't say that. It says he that was led into captivity will be in captivity. Well, what about the other side? He that leads into captivity is going to go into captivity, which is not New Testament writing. That's Old Testament writing. Go ahead.
Verse 11. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth, and he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spoke as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causes the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. And he does great wonders, so that he makes fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men, and deceives them that dwell on the earth by means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth, that they should make an image to the beast which had the wound by a sword and did live. And he had power to give life unto the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause that as many as would not worship the image of the beast should be killed. And he causes all, both great and so small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads.
All right, so people, will go with the understanding that, it's getting a mark on your hand or a mark on your forehead. But when you look at things from a Hebrew perspective, your right hand, that's supposed to be like, the right hand of the Father. That's supposed to be righteousness. And with your hand is what you touch, your deeds, what you do. So having this mark is having this seal of disobedience to the Father in your deeds. The deeds that you do, that even when you do something good, there's wickedness in that. We just read that, what was it in what was that, Proverbs?
Yeah.
We just about the wicked, that even when he does good, it's wickedness. So your right hand, when your right hand is of the adversary, the devil, that's what you're doing. You're taking that mark. And then the mark in your forehead is your thoughts. The way that you think. The way that you think like the world thinks. What's in it for me? How can I be over somebody? How can, I'm willing to do whatever it is to maintain this lifestyle. Which means I'll get with this new world order. I will worship whatever I got to worship. Go to whatever church I got to go to so I can get this good job and make this money. Those are the things. Now, it may as well be a physical mark too. I don't know. But there's always the spiritual significance of that as well. Because we know that this physical mark that they're talking about on a hand and a forehead did not come from Torah. But the actions that we just spoke about, that this symbolizes, is all through Torah. Go ahead.
Verse 18. Here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is
Go back to verse 17.
Verse 17. And that no man might buy or sell, save he had that mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
And what's interesting is if you study in Christ or Christos in the Greek, and you get the Greek letters, and the Greek letters have a numeric number for it, and you get those letters and you put it together and you add it up, it gives you exactly 666 for Christos. And it's the same thing with the Pope, with what he has on his hat. What is it, Vidal, something or whatever, and the thing is, we can easily research this. We can get on Google, Wikipedia, pull this up, and we can count those numbers and use a calculator. So they're trying to tell you. Go ahead.
Verse 18, here is wisdom. Let him that has understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666.
666. It's the same thing with Allah. In their Arabic, when you count that, the Arabic letters also have a numeric value. You put that together, it also gives you 666 as well. All right, so that's all we're going to do today. We want to keep in mind and examine our actions and understand that we can claim with our mouth all we want that we love the Most High. But if our actions show that we are haters of Yah, we are going to receive the recompense of those that hate Yah, because he repays them to their face, all the way down to their children's 10th generation. So we clearly hated the Most High as the children of Yasharal, and that's why well over 10 generations we're still suffering as a people because of what our ancestors did. So imagine the benefit that our children will have if we love Yah. If he will repay somebody to the 10th generation, he will repay somebody to the 100th generation for righteousness. And it might have been the righteousness of one of our forefathers is the very reason we're sitting right here, right now, receiving this understanding, because of some halfway righteous thing that somebody did during a time of wickedness. So that's all we're going to do. Any last questions or comments before we close in prayer?
You know, when they talk about, you know, the mark of the beast and so forth, you know, I mean, yes, it is very possible, you know, it is how your attitude is. You know, you will not receive the Most High. So your actions are going to show you will not receive the Most High. You're talking about also that you have a mark in your forehead. Well, they also talk about in chapter 12 about how the angels will not destroy this world. I think that's verse 2, you know, talking about they will not destroy
till the servants are sealed.
Until the servants are sealed. Now, these will serve the seed, you know, that keeps the commandments. So that tells you in great information right there that they won't, you know, injure this world until the ones who follow Yahweh, who keep the commandments, are sealed, so they don't get injured. They are protected. So Satan, Hasatan, is talking about his duplication of what he thinks how to follow Yahweh. So you can how you say, make a delusion or illusion of the people that think they follow Yahweh and are not. Understand? Because will not follow Yahweh. If they don't follow the commandments, you're not following Yahweh. If you're not doing his will, you're not following Yahweh. So this is what he's trying to say right here. Yeah, they're going to have the mark on them also, because you're going to show who you follow, and people, and Yahweh children are going to follow who they follow. You know, so it makes a division there. So, you know, if people get a little confused about that, read on. You know, do a little research and read on, because Yahweh going to take care of his children.
Right. Okay. Mama, you have a question?
Where did you stop in Ezekiel?
You read the whole thing, isn't it? Oh, actually, no. We stopped at 21 or 23.
Yeah.
It's 23?
No, yeah, we stopped at
23, right?
no, we read all the way through. Ezekiel all the way to 26.
We stopped. It should be the last.
In Isaiah, we stopped at 23. Ezekiel.
Oh, okay, yeah, we read the whole thing. Yeah, that's right. All right.
Yeah.
No, we read the whole of Ezekiel. Keep in mind, tonight begins the 6th month, Rosh Hashanah. It's important because we know after the 6 months comes the 7th month, with the Shabbat, which means we get back into our holy days. You have the holiest month of the year, where we have the conclusion of the holy year. So we'll be doing the class tonight. We'll be feasting. We'll be on at about 9 o'clock, and we'll be going over again the definition of love, Yah's love, so that we don't get that confusion of this Roman love that we've been given and all this romanticism. So let's go ahead and close in a prayer. All brothers remove their head coverings. All sisters pray with their heads covered. And we face the east towards Jerusalem. Our Father, Yahweh, Elohim, the Allah of Abraham, Yashak, and Yaakov. Covenant Father, Elohim of Yasharal, we thank you, Yahweh, so much for your blessing, your hedge of protection that you've given us, Yahweh. And we thank you for your patience and your mercy with us, Yahweh, as we struggle through this life, Yahweh, trying to stay focused on this narrow path, Yahweh, and to kill that old man that we tried to drown many of us in that immersion, Yah. So we ask that you strengthen us, Yahweh, and you give us the power to not only be strong alone, but to strengthen each other, Yahweh, to lead each other, motivate each other to continue this race, Yahweh. For we understand it's not the first person that crosses this line that wins this race, Yahweh. It's all those that endure all the way to the end, Yahweh, will be made perfect through Yahshua. So we thank you, Yahweh, again, that you have given us this peace on this Shabbat, Yahweh. We thank you for giving us the desire, Yahweh, to gather on this day to show you this sign. For there's so many things going on. There's so many things we could be doing, Yahweh, but we freely come together, Yahweh, and dedicate this time, Yahweh, to rest, Yahweh, and to mikra, to have a holy convocation according to your commandments, Yahweh. And we thank you for bringing us all the way through these 6 months of the year, Yahweh, for we understand month in and month out, brothers are dropping like flies, Yahweh. Sisters are dropping, Yahweh. Illnesses are attacking us, Yahweh. But you are merciful, Yahweh. You extended our grace period, Yahweh. So we're thankful. Yeah, all these things we humbly come before you, and we thank and pray not only for us, but for all your children across the earth, Yahweh, that gather, Yahweh, on your Shabbat to show you this sign of obedience. Yeah, all these things we thank and pray through your holy anointed Son, Yahshua HaMashiach.